Great careers are not accidents, they're journeys built through clarity and intent. In every industry, there are such journeys that reveal true leadership, sacrifice, risk, and purpose. I'm Dirk Horn, and this is The Pitch and the Catch, where we dive into choices, changes, and the careers they create. Welcome. Today on The Pitch and the Catch, I'm joined by Ivo Caixeiro, President of the Lifestyle Division at Living Style Group, a global leader in home furnishings. Ivo has spent his career at the crossroads of design, craftsmanship, and global supply chains, bringing products to life for some of the world's biggest retailers, from Costco to Restoration Hardware. Original from Portugal and now based in the United States, he's built a remarkable journey from sourcing expert to creative business leader, blending purpose, style, and sustainability in everything he does.
Then let's start with the exciting things you do today. What's your day look like? What have you achieved by the end of the day? And what's the impact that you have?
Those are three big questions, right? So
Just combine them in.
Yeah, the days can be very different because really depends of of what we are doing. I deal a lot with retailers, so our end goal is to produce furniture or home furnishings, if you will, to different retailers, brands, and so on.
So you're the president of the Lifestyle Group.
Well, I'm president for the Lifestyle Division. Of a company called Living Style.
Living Style.
A lot of style.
A lot of style. So, because you mentioned it, home furniture, is there a possibility someone who sees us, or if I have touched a product from yours?
Yes, yeah. A lot of people has touched products that we do because we supply major retailers in US and overseas. So all our products are sold through the major retailers, from the Costco's, the RH,
Oh, this is two very different things in one.
Go from one hand to other.
Yeah.
And I named those just to say the power of what we do is we work with companies that go from one end to other. You have to do great products for both companies.
Yes.
And they both deliver great value for their guests and their customer. And so we focus on doing great products to achieve those values. That's our core.
So because you said you do design and production.
Yeah.
So how does this work? So they come probably with specs to you, with ideas.
That each retailer and each brand has a different way of working. So some retailers tend to be more hands-on and give you a spec, give you some more of a brief. Other retailers they are looking into us to lean into us to buy our brands and the brands we license. And so our team is a complex team of engineers, designers, product developers, and then of course sourcing and manufacturer control. We outsource all the manufacturing process, but we handle all that detail. So it varies from retailer to retailer, project to project. But outside 90% of the cases, we do control the product from end to end. We have little impact from the retailer.
So then, can be RH or any other company. So what would be a typical request? Would it be build what you did last year, but we changed the cloth?
No.
The textures?
No, it really depends.
So what's problems you need to solve on that end? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so the problems can vary, right? If you are a retailer that are focused on the products year to year, you want that improvement and you want but home is also fashion, right? You have to bring the fashion side. You have to bring...
Yes.
So there's new trends, there's new colors every day. So you approach the retailers always with newness every year, and whether it's new fabrics, new constructions,
fabrics, that was the word.
New finishings, if you will, on the type of materials that you are using. It is a constant innovation process. It's a very creative process.
Yeah.
It's a very creative process.
I don't know if you've watched US Open. It seems the color of the year was purple. Everybody was in purple. Is this kind of that there is a color that opens a certain season or the...
Yeah, it changes. In the home industry, we tend to follow some colors as well of the year. Of course, slightly different than the fashion industry.
It's not going to be purple.
No, it can be purple too.
It can be purple too.
But in the home industry, the fashion colors are really used to do pops and to do things that are really just, brand stamps, if you will. And then there's core colors that are important for the home. And it shifts from retailer or brand to brand.
Yes.
It shifts a little bit, but there's few colors that are quite constant among everyone. The gray, the creams, the soft colors.
The colors that last a little bit longer.
Last. And then, of course, you have introductions of new things that are fun to see. I remember when we first started developing, we licensed Tommy Hilfiger, for example. And when we first start doing furniture with Tommy Hilfiger brands, we never thought of selling blue with
Yes.
Tommy Blue. And out of the blue, it became, no pun intended, it became really one of the best colors for us with the brand Tommy. Is because Tommy has a great blue.
They have.
People, associated that with his name, with his values, but also with the color that was trending at that time in the market, and just succeeded and did very well. So yeah, the home industry is like in any other industry. You have these specifics that are relevant to each retailer, to each channel, whether it's a more mass market retailer or a more luxury retailer. We don't like to segregate them or separate them because we see value in both of them.
Of course.
We focus on doing great product and designing great products, and that serve the best for what the consumer is looking for.
Yeah, for the segment that you're looking for.
Yeah, but also is important because the fast fashion has changed the world of creating a lot of products, and derivatives of products in the fast fashion go to the home that people change very fast. You can change your dinnerware really fast.
Yes.
You can change your bed sheets really fast, right? You can change your deck pillows really fast. Furniture is a little bit more like, or lighting is a little bit more like your car. You change it every so years, but not as much. And it means something to you. So,
question, when you deal with higher end versus mass market, on the buyer side, how is that different, if that's different at all? Because basically you're talking to the purchasing department also,
yes,
I guess?
Yeah, of course. There's a general perception that because you are a mass merchant or a club, that there's less care of products or emotion, right? It's not true.
Oh, no.
No, it's not true at all. But there's also a perception that because you are a more recognized brand or a luxury brand, that you do everything yourself and you control every step and everything. Yes, you do, but it's no different than other ones. I tend to say that every brand or retailer creates their own culture, and they see their product development and their partners as a unique provider to them. They expect the best from them and 100% of their attention. And it doesn't matter if you are on the higher hand, on the lower hand, or which segment you deal with. You always want the best. Even if you are producing something that is really competitive, you want to be the best. So you have to treat it that way. So I don't see, when it comes to management and do projects, of course, you have to, the final product is different. The production type of things might be different, but there's no way we don't separate them in terms of attention and in terms of what do they look from you is the same outcome at the end of the day. So I've had situations where, yes, the smaller customers want a little bit more attention because they want a special order. They want a made to order. We go down to do one product at a time if we have to. And then the mass merchants, they want 5,000 or 20,000 scale. So you just have to pay attention to those details. And as you set up the supply chain to provide them, that's where the things get different. But in terms of day-to-day operations, attention, sophistication of the business and what the teams have to do to achieve that, I don't see much difference.
Yeah. How do they define the best? Is this naked product quality and lead times, of what means the best for them? I'm going also thinking of
Yeah. So it is, again, I think retailers are about turning products and satisfying their consumers, right? With the lowest return rate possible.
Yes.
So they tend to score you by, the lead times, the execution, the price points, how competitive you are, your quality and everything. They have a scorecard that is a very transactional thing. But at the end of the day, the only person scoring you is the consumer. So if your products turn and sell, regardless of everything else you are doing, you're always going to be the best for that partner, right?
Yes.
You may be terrible on your lead times, but if your product is excelling, they'll work with you to make sure that you are improving. If you have great lead times, great quality, but your product doesn't turn, they may not look at again, because at the end of the day, the consumer is not reacting to what you are doing. So, it's
so basically you have the entire responsibility, even if the thing sells.
Not saying it that way, right? Because of course the retailers are responsible for what they.
Yeah, but they're not coming back to you if continuously your product doesn't sell.
Naturally, that is not necessarily, that's business, right? I'm not saying that's on the negative way towards to retail, but it's a natural thing. If consumer is not buying whatever you are doing, it doesn't matter what you are doing. It's not clicking the box. So why do it, right? So being good has many terms and many steps, but that are important to achieve. But at the end of the day, the consumer like for the product and the consumer selection and appreciation for that product is what makes you good.
So thinking about next year, for example, or whenever you develop, how do you know what the consumer wants and what sells?
It's a little bit of, our design
crystal
teams.
ball.
Our design teams go to the international markets a lot. They go to the big trade shows. Just came out of the Maison Objet, which is a very famous trade show in Paris. We see colors, we see trends, start elaborating plans. And then there's, of course, in the home industry, there's, of course, a major trend that is construction and what's going on in the construction. Are we getting more newer houses? What type of houses are we building? Are we building more manor houses? Are we building more modern houses? Are we building more apartments? So how does that fit with the furniture and with the home industry? How you decorate that? And, you start elaborating all these plans. And on top of that, you have the DNA of each brand.
Yes.
So, which is another add-on, whether it's scale, colors, and things like that. So I think like any other industry, it is an industry that once you are in, the processes are very similar to everything else.
Yes.
So you just have to be creative and continue to offer new things and pull everything together.
So this means this is the creative process. There's a lot of feeling involved because it's a personal product for people,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
And then you need to go to, I think you're going to Vietnam and you go to other places where, where is this produced? Vietnam, I guess, some China, so others,
less and less in China.
Yeah.
Of course, China remains important for any production. But there's things that there's things that China does really well in the furniture industry. China has given away, I'll put it that way, I think is a better way to say it, has given away business to countries like Vietnam by investing in Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. So productions are going towards to those countries, but we also produce in Europe. We produce in Portugal, Italy, Poland, Romania.
Okay, so excellent. So I was thinking less the political component, more like the logistical component.
Yeah, but
because you do have, if you manufacture around the world, so you have the design process, which is something where you have the creative element, you need to feel yourself in, but on the manufacturing and supply chain end becomes a numbers game.
Not all the
quality,
time.
lead
not
times.
All the time, because again, not all the time. Particularly in the furniture industry, being a industry where depends on raw materials a lot. Moving heavy raw materials are expensive, right? Moving wood is expensive, right?
Yes.
So it's not just about the price, but it's about the skill to work certain species of wood, certain materials. So, for example, we work with a lot of American oak. So we, in fact, are shipping oak from US to Vietnam.
Oh, you start with a raw material.
With a raw material, yeah.
Wow.
You're shipping oak from US to Vietnam. And then you're working on that to ship it back here, right? So if we go to Romania, for example, one of the reasons why we started production in Romania was that European oak is different.
Yes.
The color, the way you work, the looks that you achieve are different.
Yes.
So we did develop projects for Romanian manufacturer skills and the natural resources they had. As you can develop, for example, in Indonesia, you tend to work a lot with teak for outdoor furniture because teak is natural from there. So it's not only about the price. You wouldn't be producing teak furniture at a very competitive price in Europe because there's no teak in Europe. And
you have to get it in there first.
Yeah. So shipping the furniture, the wood will be expensive. So there's many components to it, not only the price. And that's what makes you select certain countries. Vietnam being a country that is a result of the evolution of China from industry to a service culture. China is transforming from a manufacturer to a service country. Vietnam is leveraging that and using that to be a manufacturer country across the board right now for many categories, right? From tech to fashion to shoes to furniture and many others. Just an example.
And then you have the sophisticated supply chain. If you're starting from the raw product, this means you need to buy commodities, basically.
Yeah, we lean on our partners to do the buying mode, the buying process. Our
Okay.
manufacturers, they do, because they have to manage their cash flow and everything. But we do spec the wood, we do spec everything.
Okay, understood.
Sometimes, depending on the business, we may go down that road, particular, for example, for fabric, which is something it's easier to control. We do go directly to the mill, we buy the
Yes.
fabric ourselves, we send it to the manufacturer. So, but it really depends on the supply chain. As you're developing products, you have to create infrastructures that are important for your business, right? So some of them you have to own it, some of them you have to outsource it.
Yes. And you need to be able to keep a promise. So because you've mentioned it, if you promise Costco we will deliver 5,000 of this sofa, you need to be able to deliver those 5,000. So you need to be able to do it. How can I say? To secure the scale of your promise with your supply chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does this work? So do you have a network where you can say, in terms of there's capacities and capabilities, because probably that's different every year, I assume.
Yes, it changes. The supply chain changes.
Yes.
Very often, and it's something you have to plan for. It's part of our job is to plan for, is to work with manufacturers that are capable to supply the retailers and the brands we are working with. So all that process is linear, but it's part of what we do every day.
I understand.
Yeah. No different than in pharmaceutical industry, right? I guess.
I worked in pharmaceuticals most of my life. The thing is that the development, the marketing, and the manufacturing are very different things under one company, but it's basically three companies in itself.
Yeah.
Because it's so different. And this is where it was coming from. And
yeah, because it's very regulated, right? In that case, it's very regulated. In the home industry, we are not as regulated. We have a lot of regulations and testing and protocols, but we don't have to control the entire process. And even companies that say that are fully vertical and say that they manufacture all the way through, it's almost impossible to control all this aspect. So you always have to use some some outsource.
So and that brings us, this is wonderful, and that basically brings us to you. So you have to understand the creative world, the consumer world, but you also need to understand, how do I get that product on time at the right price to the consumer?
Right.
So where does this come from? Have you learned this? Is this something you've been trained for? I mean, I have to read this because you went to the Market Business School in Lisbon, to IPAM?
In Porto.
In Porto.
Yeah.
Because it says Lisbon on the lid.
It is.
Porto. So in Porto, so your basic is business marketing. So how did this journey evolve from you through, and I think you spent more than 20 years with your first
with Li & Fung, yes.
Li & Fung. So and this is about your journey. So how did you get to a point where at the end today you serve in those two worlds, the creative and the world of delivery?
So
how were you trained for this when you look back the 20 years?
Yeah, through time, right? Through time. The easy part, when I joined Li & Fung many years ago, Li & Fung is this massive company that controls the supply chain for many companies around the globe, on the fashion side as well on the home industry. When I first started, my role was very hands-on the quality side at manufacturer and sourcing side at the manufacturer side, identifying manufacturers, sourcing the best partners, and then presenting them to the teams that were dealing with the customer, and then selling or helping them developing the products and do the business. So the first years of my career were all inside of manufacturers, identifying their processes, understanding their core competencies, reading their strategy and their sales strategy, and then converge that with the needs of our customers.
Understood.
And then scale that. So, by the age of 25, I had seen at least 1,000 different manufacturers across all the industries you can imagine, from cosmetics to ceramics to glass to textiles to furniture to fashion. So that gives you a lot of knowledge about manufacture process, and what setups you need to have, how does operation works from raw material all the way to the final product. And then as I evolve in my career and start going more into the business side, managing the teams, growing, managing different businesses, interacting more with brands, interacting more with the DNA of each brand, naturally comes down to creativity and working and selecting the right team to do a project. And then comes also the personal part of the business, which is if you enjoy what you are doing, you tend to study more and do more things.
Yes.
My wife, she's an architect, and we both love architectural tours, and we've spent a lot of time touring around the world to see different buildings, different constructions. Furniture is something that gets associated with that really quick, and you get to know all the big designers. So you just start melting all of that information, and then you start creating your own story, right? Your own DNA.
Now I'm curious because, maybe I should ask your wife that question. So what should I see in the world and from an architectural perspective that I should not miss?
You are in the city where you can see a lot of things.
I mean, you mean some things are just right in front of my doorstep, and I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
So
I don't
just here in New
necessarily
York,
know.
Just here in New York, you have a lot of things that are important marks. She'll probably tell you something that it is impressive just because when it was built.
For what, like the Brooklyn Bridge, for example?
No,
Like,
she's probably going to go a few centuries off and tell you something even deeper, because she understands the engineer process and what it takes to do that. Growing up in Portugal, we have monasteries that are 1,000-year-old, built.
Yes.
That construction and setting up all that. So probably we have some references there. But in New York City, you have a lot of other, things you can see that are important. I don't have one answer for that. I would say see the more you can see, travel, the more you can travel and see different things every day. That's one thing I like to do.
Yes. I've just been to the Taj Mahal. That was fascinating.
Yeah, first time I was in Taj Mahal, I was 27, 28, and I was there at 5 a.m. in the morning. The sun was rising, and I think was monumental. Just again, is the momentum and the feeling you get. If you ask me, is Taj Mahal in terms of construction something that are fantastic? I was like, not really. Design-wise, is very unique, and
It's a very laborious process.
Yes, but when it was built, the reasons was what that was built,
and the attention to detail, yes,
and then together with the emotional process that you are there at that time of the day, the sun, the reflection of the sun in the building and everything, it gets.
We did the 5 a.m. in the morning. Everybody, it was worth getting up. So we get into the hotel lobby and there's like 6 other zombies.
Yeah.
Everybody got up early. Yeah. So what fascinated me, and I think this 500 years old, something 4 towers around it are actually tilted towards the outside. So the front towers to the lawn, the other ones to the river, in case of an earthquake, so they don't fall on the monument.
Yeah.
They thought about this a half a millennia ago.
Yeah, it's impressive what people did. We're talking about Portugal and Lisbon, for example. Lisbon had a big earthquake on the 1753, if I'm not mistaken. Or the prime minister at the time, not the mayor, was in fact the equivalent to a prime minister at the time, decided to rebuild the city. And one of the things he said was, we have to make the streets wider. We have to make the streets on top of something particularly closer to the water that can sustain an earthquake.
Yes.
So part of the city of Lisbon that is closer to the water, the foundations are pine trees soaked in water because they can vibrate. They can sustain.
So it's like swimming, basically.
Yeah. So they can sustain a earthquake, right? And this was made centuries ago. So there is technology at every level when you come for in terms of construction, and then you apply that towards to the design thinking as well, and the creative process. We deal a lot with designers. We spend a lot of time in the flea markets in Paris.
Yes,
researching for materials and things. A couple of weeks ago, I was there with one of our designers, and we saw this beautiful slate slab table on the antique market that was basically a wall of a stable. And the patina that was on that slate was basically because of the horses were scratching themselves against the thing. And they transformed that in the most beautiful coffee table that I ever saw in my life, being sold on this antique market. I think that was dated sometime around 1400s. Beautiful piece, and it's unique. So the creativity comes from everything you see in life, right? And you have to transform that in products and transform that into a dream that someone else is going to buy. And you work with great brands, great partners. You create the story, and then you hope that sells.
So your own discovery, your own journey. So starting as a purchasing manager, sourcing. Yeah, maybe sourcing is more than purchasing, but
it is different than purchasing. Yeah.
You still started on the structural side of things. Yeah. How can I move things around, source things, find them? Talking about architecture, what beautiful coffee table. Was this always there that you knew you're gonna?
No.
So no, how did this come about?
It comes about with the evolution, right? And doing and growing up, right?
Some people still do sourcing even after.
Yeah, but I think
they grew up in a different way.
I see your point. I think, one thing that it's personal and very unique to me, I think, is I'm never satisfied with what I'm doing. I'm always searching for what can I do next?
Yes.
In the perspective of how can I learn from here and do something different in the future? But I don't see that as which is a thing that I'm learning from since I become American. I'm learning to be a little bit more detailed and pragmatic and schedule about that in order to build my career, which I never thought that way as a Portuguese European mindset. I thought those things were natural. As an American, I have a view that I have to plan more for that. And that's the internal fight I have every day. How to plan my career a little bit better and plan to do things in order to achieve what I want. As a European, you do things naturally, and that process is evolution that gets to you with time.
Yeah. And if you push it too hard, they will tell you, don't push too hard.
Right. So it's just a natural thing. So I think, it comes about opportunity, working for great companies, work with great people, able to interact with some of the best brands in the world, some of the best retailers in the world, learn a lot from the manufacturers we work with. One of the things I'm always fascinating about is going to India, Indonesia, or Vietnam and sit down with these entrepreneurs that started the factory out of their garage. So all these stories that you hear that were once in America, someone started a business in the garage. It happened also in Indonesia.
Of course, it happens everywhere.
Started a massive outdoor company in a garage in Indonesia. Getting to know these people, how they build their business, how they build their infrastructure, work with them to then bring their products into the market. It's amazing. I think that journey enrich you so much, and you learn so much about everything, that it is better than an MBA that you can do. It just gives you experience, and it's cultural different, and it is unique every day. So, just, I don't know.
So if we capture this as a leadership lesson, you're basically, I'm just trying to paraphrase, go out and see the real life, read a book. Yeah. Yes, it's good to read a book, but go out and see the real life and what it feels like.
Correct.
And the energy that basically people bring.
Learn by doing it, right?
Learn by doing.
Learn by doing it is the big thing. But I think it's not only learn by doing it at the end. You also have to then be able to go back and structure the things in a way that you can repeat them. And that's what the school gives you. That's what education gives you, is gives you that
structure. Yeah. So that you make it repeatable.
Yeah. And you can scale, and you can help. And you can help then other people understand, okay, what tasks do we need to do more often, and things like that.
So you talked about making deliberate choices. I think you made your position you're in now, happened this year, correct? About half a year ago?
Yeah, yes.
So this means you're still on honeymoon, basically, with the job and with the company. So how was that journey from Li & Fung into the new role?
Well, the Li & Fung into the new role was a natural thing, because we were basically a spin-off from the Li & Fung. So it was the same team up. So it was a natural thing. But growing into this role, even though it was natural, I think the biggest difference is I now look at myself with the feeling that I have more responsibility towards my team, and I have to make sure that I give them the opportunities that were given to me. It's not, I don't feel like, okay, it changed because my responsibilities changed. It didn't really, because I always act as the president of the company, even though I wasn't, because that was my attitude to
the ownership,
right? But now I have one more responsibility that I didn't have before, which is I have to make sure that my team is given the same opportunities that I was given to achieve a great success in their career, but to grow with their business, to really be exposed to opportunities that allow them to grow as a person and as a professional.
Okay, understood. And then I'd love to explore that, but I still want to stay onto your journey. So you talked about deliberate choices, and now talking to you, Ivo, one thing is clear to me: you're not done. It's not, it's like I have another year, and then even if no, you're on a mission. You described as you're never satisfied with what you're doing. So what's not talking about the underlying drivers, but what's the thing that you really look for? Is like an unrest on a day-to-day basis, or do you have a big vision? So what do you want to get to with all the unrest and not being happy with things?
Yeah.
Because there's a machine inside of it. It's like a nuclear engine.
Yeah, definitely.
So what does that nuclear engine want?
It's a very difficult question to answer.
It is a difficult question.
Just because, and I fight myself on this very often, which is, as a parent and a husband and a family guy, I really want to spend time with the family, and I want to really make sure that I create enough energy around me that I can spend more time with the family and continue to provide to the family, but I have more time to spend with them, and I nurse people around me to do more things. So naturally getting to a more C-level type of role is something that in my vision will give me that part, although may not, right? Because you bring other things. But also there's another part of it that is, I like to set visions, but I like to execute them. So I like to be part of the process, not necessarily doing everything, because I'm very hands off and I trust people. I want them to do their own thing, but I want to be part of it. I still want to hear what's going on in production. Sometimes I want to hear, the problems are small or big. I want to know why they are happening, because then I can help structuring the things to.
And you're also accountable.
Yeah.
So you leave the responsibility with them, but ultimately if something goes wrong,
of course,
it would be better if you've heard of the problem before.
Right. So I don't know, I don't know if I have, because my career has always been made about a natural evolution. And I have to thank many people along the way that made this possible, which is, from co-workers, from direct managers and bosses, from family, my parents, my wife. That has been probably the big light for me. So to answer your question, is what do I see in the future? It is definitely doing something where I have more influence in building their future and building a vision that is more controlled by a group of people, which is the entire team, and really create something meaningful. Companies that are there to last, not companies that are, pop up and then disappear. That's one of the biggest concerns I have in the world is really, there was a trend of people in the market, and you coming from the human resources side, there's a trend where people was changing jobs every day.
Yes.
Or every 2 years. And I had people advising me and saying, you should change a job every 2 years just to get ahead. And I was, I look back and I had a linear career path so far, and I see the value of changing jobs and trying different things. But I think there's more value on the long term for the companies to build their assets and to create long-term.
I agree.
And sustainable companies, right? And create teams that are sustainable for the long term. And I worry that in today's world, we do not do that enough. So if anything, I aim to one day be able to contribute to that mentality some other way, right? Whether it's creating a culture in the company that allows that, whether it's to nurse and nurture other people to do that.
From everything I hear, you're pretty close to that.
Yeah, we are, as long as I'm happy.
Are you still not happy?
You have to look at yourself and always find what to improve, right? And that's what I look every day. We create the most beautiful collections. We go, I Point Furniture Market is in about 4 weeks or 5 weeks. And every time we get to the showroom, I have all these other people, customers, designers, colleagues coming to our showroom and say, wow, you guys did it again. This is even more beautiful than last time. And I'm always very critical. I'm probably the only guy telling the design team and the creative team saying, yeah, it's not there yet. This is the 2.0 version. It's not the 5.0. We need the 5.0. We need to get out there. I need people to get here and not leave from here and not going to scout the other showroom next door, because I want them to be so in love with us. They don't need to scout the other guys. I want that feeling.
Yes.
I want that feeling of doing something that is unique and help the team to do. So it's always pursuing something better, I guess. That's
The one thing where I can, I work with a lot of C-suite people. You don't know. Let me put this differently. I have yet to meet someone in C-suite who was resting in themselves and relaxed. I think you have to be in a certain state of unrest and wanting more in order to sustain a job like this. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rules, but also when I see those people retire, they never retire. It's who they are.
Yes.
So basically, you have to embrace that at the end of the day, you're always looking for something. And it's not that you're not satisfied. It's just how you roll. And even at some of them are like, oh, at some point in time, I'm going to sit on an island and I'm going to drink margaritas, but none of them do. So in terms of that journey, Ivo, I'd be really, and you have this team now. It's been a spin-off from where you come from. I think you have some mission to achieve with this team. What would be, I had a question for you on my mind. In terms of the next step, let's say there's another, and this doesn't have to be in the next 3 for a couple of years. What is the next step and what do we need to learn for the next step? So what's a real step change for you as a leader? Because at the moment it's, you're pretty much, your day is filled, you're busy, you have enough to do, but it's an environment you're familiar with.
Yes. Yeah.
So even the challenges that come to you, you're like, okay, some of them might be novel challenges, but in a way, you've seen most of them and you know how to solve them. So what would be the real big challenge for you that would get you to the next level? Or in a different way, what do you think the true next level, for example, running one of the big brands that you work for today, who knows? What would be the difference? What do you need to learn for this? Or maybe you're ready today.
Yeah, look, I don't know, because I always felt that things will come to you naturally and
yeah, but we know we're Americans. We wanted to
exactly,
plan a little bit more. Let's skip the natural piece.
Yeah, the natural part is under the plan. I would say probably 2 things that entice me in different directions. One is starting and move all these skills and move everything I have learned into a totally different category, in totally different business environments, and apply some of this knowledge into different business environments and really try to use all the skills I've learned and I have mastered and build something else in a different business environment.
Yep.
Because I think that will enforce the base of going back to the books, going back to the structure, and really then apply that structure, but also learn new cultures, learn new processes, new nuances of each business, and see how I adapt to that and how quick can I adapt to that, right? So that's one of the things that sometimes entice me, the idea of doing that.
Let me do a comment. I hear the exact same story always. I was there too. My answer is always, you have momentum now. And how long were you trained to do this job now? But let's say you had 20 years of training. If you do something else that is only remotely connected to your training, you take the wind out of the sail. So I understand the thought process, but imagine you paid money into a life insurance for 20 years and then you say, I don't need that life insurance. No. You want to use that life insurance. Of course. So if we pursue, and I understand, it's a very valid thought, and maybe it's being brought to you as an opportunity and you're like, there it is. Yeah. But let's say use the leverage, the network, the skills, the knowledge, the reputation, what you have.
So that's why I said that's what enticed me on my brain, right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you.
The second part of it is, can I do the same thing? Because you build this, I don't get to be the president of this company because they like me or because I got it because the team that I built succeeded. And the people that is with me has been fantastic over the years, has supported me, has helped me growing, has, supported all the decisions I took. So the other side of this is, can I replicate this somewhere else where I have a little bit more accountability and responsibility or equity or ownership to a different level? Can I do that at that level? And then remain focused on the business and on the core, but also on people and the sustainability of the resources, on ensuring that the team is there to stay a long time. Can you do that when you have some other direct pressures as being eventually part owner, for example?
Yep.
So those are other things that sometimes I think about it. I don't give too much thought to those things on the daily basis. I challenge myself, but I don't spend a lot of time on those things. But some days you know.
So what have I said? And it's a bit provocative. You have enough discomfort and enough challenges on a day by day, but the real challenge, but basically what I understand, you stayed in the same environment, Li and Fung, and then it naturally transitioned. So this means you're building, you're basically harvesting from working on the same piece of land for the last 20 years. It sounds like the real next challenge is if you went same business,
different land.
but a different piece of land.
Different piece of land. Yeah.
It sounds like a formidable challenge.
It is. And, it is interesting concept. Yeah, maybe. Look, some days we have to really do something to change our life, right? And to evolve. Some other days you can evolve. I don't know. I challenge myself every day with different thoughts.
Yes.
But when I make decisions, I also act quickly. The day I'll make a decision differently, I'll act very quickly because I don't sustain the thought of waiting too long. I hate procrastination. It is, and I fight that every day.
So better make a decision and correct it later.
Yes.
Better than not making a decision.
The thing, but in between, life is happening. Family, kids, and parents, and nephews and nieces being born.
Yeah,
you want to be part of everything. So
you want it all.
You want it all, right? So that's the point.
So this means basically, there's a good chance this is where you stop. You just because you have enough challenge, you're basically good. I know this probably.
No. I wouldn't say that, but I would say that way. If I'd stop here, I'll be comfortable with it. But
are you sure?
Yeah. Yes, from one reason. I think that if that happened, if that was my last gig, I'm very young, but if that was my last gig in terms of career path and everything, it's because I had decided going into a totally different direction for the rest of my life.
No, I hear you.
Right, but
we both know it's not your last.
No. It's and we all know that the industry is changing. Everything is changing. I never say no to.
Yeah, the chairs are tricky. Careful with those.
They haven't passed the proper test.
No, these are not from you, definitely.
No, definitely not. Anyway, look, we should always be looking to find new things, meet more people, talk to new people,
like we do at the moment.
Right? That's why I never say we wouldn't do things differently. One thing me and my wife decided early on was, we're going to remain open for everything that can change our life tomorrow.
Yes.
And then we're going to decide if we're going to take it or not. And with kids, sometimes you take a step back and say, I cannot do it. But you look back and the neighbor is doing it and he's moving across the world. And
the kids are fine.
The kids are fine. So we are always open to do things differently.
Okay. That's exciting. This, I could continue talking, but we've talked for an hour, Ivo.
Yeah, well.
Maybe last question, because you made me so curious. You could do whatever you want, no limitation. So basically, you can pick the team that you want. What would you be looking for to do? Like, would you create something very special for the consumer that you can't because it doesn't work with the brands that you work with? Would you establish a different kind of company culture? What would be your heart's desire if you could do whatever you think is necessary to do without limits?
Me think of giving some thought to that. I don't think that I will do anything specific, but going back to this thought process of building a company that is more than just a company. It is a culture that has long lasting, embraces the product, the consumer, but also embraces the team and develops the partners and continues to progress. I really get fed up when I see companies going bankrupted in 3 days, 4 days after launching IPO, right? Or everyone thinks that is the next big thing, and 2 days later they are nothing. The valuation was a scheme, and everyone was thinking that because there was no value added there. So add value to the right people, create the culture, create an environment that delivers constant newness, constant product to the consumer that the consumer likes, but is at the same
Yes.
time sustainable. It is at the same time
Ah,
something that is okay. The consumer is buying it because um, it's good. I think that's ultimately what I would dream about doing it if limitations weren't there. But there's one limitation we always have, which is you do things to make money, and making money means that you have to be competitive
yes.
and you have to compete. And once you do that, you always have the equation of the value attached to it. So it becomes difficult to do that forever, right? So you have to build beyond products and beyond the brands, I guess. I don't know. It's a strange question. I could talk forever about it.
But I get the concept. Basically, to build a team which culture transcends into products that actually work for the customer, which are sustainable and competitive.
Yeah, but it's also, and you also feel like you are part of, one of the things that I like about doing product that tends to consumers, like furniture and other things, is you doing things that can change the way people live, right?
Yes, you're touching people's lives.
You're
Yes.
touching, and that for me, that's unique. That's why when when you are in the meeting with our designers and you listen to them saying, I want this fabric, this one, not that one. And then you hear the product development guy say, oh, that one is cheaper, it's better, it's more, we can make a little bit more profit with that one. And then the designers say, no, I want that one. And then you feel like you are in between a tough decision, business versus emotion. 99% of the times, in my view, the emotion has to win. Because only when you get something that becomes emotionally interesting, then the value is exponential 10 times. If you do something that is price related, the value can only go one way, down. If you do something that is emotionally connected to you, the value can only go up. And that's, pick up that concept and put that across all the company, whether it's the team, the resources, the partners, the products you are doing, and the consumer. Because at the end of the day, you have to do things that the consumer desires and enjoys and loves.
So this means basically, and this brings us back to the beginning of our conversation, bring value, love, I would almost say, love into every product. It doesn't matter if it's in a box at Costco's or in the design studio at RH. I'm just using those two. And the moment you put your love, attention, and the quality, whatever's doable on that price point, that is what comes back. Because in a way, you don't, even if you write it on the packaging, it's something that the consumer feels. The love, the attention to detail and all of this. So that's a sustainable piece.
Correct. And that's what makes, I had a good friend of mine that is a fantastic designer from the Conran family in UK, Sebastian, one of the sons of Mr. Terence Conran. He said to me one time, many, many years ago, he said to me, his dream was going to a flea market in Brooklyn and see his products being sold as a in the flea market on the second time, third time.
Something that's been loved.
And that was his dream. And that stuck on my head forever. And I think that's what I think a good product is going to a flea market and see something that has been loved by many different people and is still there as a great product. And if I can somehow do that across all the segments of the business, whether it's managing the team, whether it's creating new product, whether it's working with the brands, if you can do always that, that's key. So I have few mantras in my mindset, which is product is king, number one, and there's nothing you can do if product is not great. So you have to
have a great product.
You have to have a great product.
Yes.
You have to have goodwill. And if you don't work with goodwill, there is never a team. That's the number one question I do in job interviews or when I build my team around me is, do you have the desire of goodwill? Because, you have to have this desire of doing things just for the goodwill and not for the return on your cash, on your hours. You have to desire by doing it just because you like it. If you don't do that way, if you don't manage your day that way, then it becomes difficult to do a good product and to do these things. So those two things for me are critical. And then, of course, it is when you do something that is sophisticated, nice. Can you help changing a manufacture process, become more efficient? Can you spend time with engineers and create a different technology? Those are,
But it basically serves
yes, those
the
two.
two,
purposes.
those
Yeah.
two. Wow. I guess we leave it at this. So there
Yeah.
is a vision.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you very much.